In chapters 4 and 5 of 1 Chronicles, Ezra gives us details of the territories of Judah, Simeon, Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. Simeon occupied territory around Beersheba, in the middle of the territory occupied by Judah. Reuben occupied territory east of the Dead Sea, across to the wilderness. North of them was the territory of Gad, and above that was the territory of Manasseh. These tribes occupied that territory for over 800 years, from the time of Joshua until the time of Tiglath-Pileser and the Assyrian exile. And no doubt a few remained in the land up until the time of Ezra and later. But the area of Judah was delivered from the Assyrians in the days of Hezekiah, until the Babylonians came in the days of Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of the Babylonian period, the Persian king, Cyrus, allowed Jews to return, and while the majority stayed in the territories to which they'd been exiled, some did return. Let's read together from 1 Chronicles chapter 5 from verse 11. Now the children of Gad dwelt next to them, that is to Reuben, in the land of Bashan, as far as Selkah. Joel was the chief, Shapham the next, then Jenai, and Shaphat in Bashan, and their brethren of their father's house, Michael, Meshullam, Sheba, Jeriah, Jachan, Ziah, and Eber, 7 in all. These were the children of Abihail, the son of Huri, the son of Haroah, the son of Gilead, the son of Michael, Jeshai, the son of Jado, the son of Buz. Ahai, the son of Abdiel, the son of Gunai, was chief of their father's house. And the Gadites dwelt in Gilead, in Bashan, and in its villages, and in all the common lands of Sharon within their borders. All these were registered by genealogies in the days of Jotham, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, king of Israel. The sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had 44,760 valiant men able to bear shield and sword, to shoot with the bow, and skilful in war, who went to war. They made war with the Hagrites, Jetur, Naphish, and Nodab, and they were helped against them, and the Hagrites were delivered into their hand, and all who were with them, for they cried out to God in the battle. He heeded their prayer, because they put their trust in him. Then they took away their livestock, 50,000 of their camels, 250,000 of their sheep, and 2,000 of their donkeys, also 100,000 of their men, for many fell dead, because the war was God's, and they dwelt in their place until the captivity. So the children of the half-tribe of Manasseh dwelt in the land. Their numbers increased from Bashan to Baal Hermon, that is, to Senir, or Mount Hermon. These were the heads of their fathers' houses: Ephah, Ishi, Eliel, Azriel, Jeremiah, Hodaviah, and Jardiel. They were mighty men of valour, famous men, and heads of their fathers' houses. And they were unfaithful to God in their hearts, and played the harlot after the gods of the peoples of the land, whom God had destroyed before them. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, that is, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. He carried the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh into captivity. He took them to Halal, Habor, Harah, and the river of Gozan, to this day. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share these verses from 1 Chronicles chapter 5. What happened to the tribes that were settled east of the Jordan? The tribes are identified, their leaders are given. And again we have mention the fact that the genealogies were kept up to date in the time of the kings. they were registered by genealogies in the days of Jotham, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam II, king of Israel. They had a mighty army, and they made war against the Hagrites, and the Lord helped them. Specifically, God helps those who call upon him and who trust him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And this is the comment that Ezra makes, a remarkable victory that these tribes had over the Hagrites because God helped them. And God helped them because they cried out to God in the battle. James says that God doesn't answer our prayers. The first reason is that we never ask him in the first place. And the second reason is that we are selfish in making the requests that we make, and he knows it is not in our interest to do so. But he heeded the prayer of these men, because they put their trust in him, and so he gave them a great victory. We're told that there were 44,700 in their army, but they defeated a much larger army of over 100,000, many of whom fell by the sword, because God was with his people. It's not the number of soldiers you have, but God controls the outcome of these battles. It's always our privilege to trust in the Lord and call upon him for help in the day of trouble. And as Psalm 50 says, he will answer you and you will glorify him. The eastern tribes increased in numbers, and despite that note of victory that we've just mentioned, we find that generally the people were unfaithful to the God of their fathers. They followed after the gods of the land, the gods of the people who they had driven out. And so God expelled them from the land by the hand of the Assyrians, Tiglath-Pileser, also known as Pul. He took the Reubenites, Gadites, and half-tribe of Manasseh into captivity a long way away across the other side of the Euphrates, even to eastern Iran. And we're told that they were there to this day, that is to Ezra's day. But even today we find Muslim people living in these territories who have ancient traditions associated with their villages that link them back to Israel, because they are in fact the descendants of Israel who were exiled at this time. The actual detailed records have been lost, but the people are still there, and the Lord knows those who are his. He maintains his records in heaven when we fail to maintain them on earth. And the promise of many scriptures, which is why these genealogies are so important, is that in the last days, when God establishes his kingdom through the king he has appointed, that is Jesus Christ, who he has raised from the dead, and who is waiting until that time when his enemies be made his footstool. In those days, God will restore the 12 tribes of Israel to their land, and people from many nations who are in fact descended from Israel will again be identified and brought back. And that's why these records are given to us, that the children of Israel might have hope in the God of Israel.